The Big Dipper. The Myth of Zeus and Callisto. If you look up at the nighttime sky, you will see a constellation or group of stars known as the Big Dipper. It looks a bit like a pot or frying pan. Now listen closely and I will tell you how it got its name. Many moons ago there was a mythical god, the most powerful of all gods in fact, and his name was Zeus. He was god of the sky and considered the ruler, protector and father of all gods and humans. Zeus lived in a giant temple at the top of Mount Olympus. From there he was able to watch all the people below. He saw everything and made sure to reward good behavior and punish those who misbehaved. Zeus fell deeply in love with the goddess Hera and asked her many times to be his wife. However, she refused, which made him completely fed up, and so one day he came up with a plan that would trick her into becoming his wife. Zeus had the magical ability to change himself into any animal, and so one day decided to turn himself into a helpless, rain-soaked bird. Hera found the poor bird and brought it to shelter and took care of it. Zeus turned himself back into his normal self in front of her eyes, and she couldn't help but fall in love with him. She finally agreed to be his wife. Zeus and Hera's wedding at the Garden of Hesperides was a huge and splendid occasion. All of the gods and goddesses attended and brought gifts and treasures to mark the occasion. There was feasting, dancing, music and merriment, and the party lasted for many days. However, after that splendid day, Zeus and Hera didn't always get on. Despite his love for Hera, Zeus had many other girlfriends, upon whom he showered love, affection, and riches beyond their wildest imaginations. Hera was kind and loving, but she also had a bad temper, and was known to punish anyone who had spent time with her husband. Now, one of Zeus's favorite girlfriends was Callisto. She was well known for her incredible beauty and fun-loving personality. Zeus visited her whenever he could get away, which made Hera extremely jealous, and she vowed to take revenge on Callisto at the first chance she could get. One afternoon, as Zeus and Callisto walked hand in hand through the woods, Zeus spied Hera in a clearing just ahead. Panicking and unable to hide her in time, he transformed Callisto into a huge bear. Hera saw her husband approaching and was very surprised to see an enormous bear nearby. Knowing him as well as she did, she found it hard to believe that he had been walking alone in the woods and demanded that he return with her immediately to Mount Olympus. Hera would not take no for an answer, so finally, and with a heavy heart, Zeus followed her, leaving Callisto in the forest, still disguised as a bear. Later that day, none other than Callisto's son Arcas had decided to go hunting in the very same woods. Reaching the top of a small hill at the end of a trail, he was excited to see a large bear in a nearby glade. He immediately dropped to the floor and watched in silence. Then he drew his bow and arrow and fired at the bear, striking it straight through the heart. The bear roared and turned towards Arcas. For a moment, they looked at each other, and Arcas saw a familiar look on the bear's face before it collapsed to the floor, fatally wounded. To his astonishment, the bear began moving, shifting, changing back into the form of his mother, Callisto. Arcas was horrified at what he had done and cried out in anger as he held his mother as she lay dying in his arms. The forest echoed with the sounds of his screams. Zeus, by now back at Mount Olympus with Hera, heard Arca's cries. Fearing that Hera could hear him as well, he returned quickly to the forest to persuade Arcas never to speak of what had happened. But Arcas became more and more angry. Zeus had no choice but to use his magical powers once again to change Callisto back into a bear. Then he placed her in the northern sky, and we can still see this group of stars today. It is called the Great Bear or the Big Dipper. Zeus then turned Arcas into a smaller group of stars known as Little Bear or the Little Dipper. At the moment Arcas was being placed in the sky, he turned to see his mother. And this is why, if you look into the sky at the right time and the right place, you will see the Little Dipper curving towards the Big Dipper. Arcas can watch over his beloved mother in the night sky forevermore.